Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist, brought to you by the team at OnePitch. Are you looking for more efficient ways to find and pitch the right journalists? Head to our website at onepitch.co to learn more. Our guest on today's episode of Coffee with a Journalist is Aaron Mok, freelance writer and AI contributor at Observer. During the episode, Aaron discusses how ChatGPT sparked his interest in the AI beat, the types of pitches and sources he prefers, and how PR professionals from AI startups can best engage with him.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with a Journalist. I'm Beck Bamberger, and we're here doing this show because publicists need help. They need help in understanding how to work better with their journalists, also their publicists, but their media contacts and friends and freelancers and editors, and basically everyone in this great environment that we work in called media relations who make the world go round. So that is why we're here. And that's why I also started OnePitch, because we need help pitching better and being less annoying to journalists. Hence, this brings us to this show. Today with us is Aaron Mok. He is a freelance writer and AI contributor at Observer, writing on everything AI, which must be a quick-paced job, Aaron, to say the least. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay, Aaron, just for folks who are not as maybe familiar, because we do want to let people know, how would you describe the coverage of Observer?
Yeah, I would say Observer is interested in the people and power behind business, technology, and the arts. The outlet really cares about human stories and really powerful players in shaping society.
Mm-hmm, indeed. And so how did you then launch into the AI niche vertical? You used to be other places, of course, but tell us more.
Yeah, before I started freelancing, I was full-time at Business Insider, and I was
tech reporter there. Yep.
Tech reporter there, doing breaking news. And it was around the time when ChatGPT first came out. So that was something that I was covering very closely. And from there was just so much hype around AI that I stuck to it. And eventually it became my beat. So I would say I fell into the AI beat. And it's a topic that's also been fascinating to me for a while.
How did that fascination come about? Was it through the work previously at Business Insider, or you always been captivated? I don't know. You tell us.
I've always been interested in like science fiction movies and innovation and the future.
Me too.
And when ChatGPT came out, it seemed like we were getting one step closer to that reality. And so, yeah, it was just cool to see chatbots being able to do things that humans can do.
Indeed. Now let's go to your inbox. That's the topic always covered here. How crazy is it in there?
It's actually not too bad right now.
Oh, how refreshing. And why is that? Well, you said right now. So has it in the past been out of control?
Yeah, when I was a staff writer, it was crazy. I would get probably 50 pitches a day. But now I've only been freelancing for about a month. And so my email is relatively new. I think publicists are still discovering it. And so I don't get more than, let's say, 5 to 10 pitches every day.
Oh, that's not too bad. Okay. So then what do you do with those pitches? Are you opening every single one of them? This would be like a dream to us publicists.
I do open every single one.
Wow.
Yeah. I usually skim through them if it's something that isn't really in my beat, but I'm just curious to learn more. Like if the subject line has a topic I'm writing about or something I'm interested in, then I take a closer look.
Okay, so if you're like, ooh, I like this. So then would it be fair to say subject line is not too important since you look at every pitch?
I would say the stronger the subject line, the better. I tend to like skim through things very quickly. And so if I see embargo or exclusive interview or something about AI related to the news, that'll capture my attention more.
Okay. And then in terms of the pitch inside the email, what do you like to see?
Yeah, I do like embargoes, do like exclusive interviews. If there's any interesting data coming out around AI and its impact, I'm interested in that. I also like news that are counterintuitive. And so, yeah, like there's this whole narrative right now about AI potentially replacing jobs. And if I see a pitch that says AI could could complement your job, that's something that would interest me because it kind of goes against what's widely said.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're looking for maybe avant-garde, maybe counterintuitive type of people. And then, so speaking of that, sources for you look like what?
I am particularly looking for a few different types of sources now. I'm interested in how businesses are using AI internally. So how they adopt tools like ChatGPT to make their processes more efficient. For example, people who've used AI in interesting ways. I love learning about, just like unique use cases for that. I'm interested in like embargoed climate tech deals, specifically related to clean energy. That's something that I'm covering more closely now. Just executives at companies that are open to being candid. They're not just here to sell me a product. They're here to talk about what's working, what's not working, any challenges they're facing.
So you want them to spill the beans a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. You don't have to say damn everything, but yeah, exactly.
I also am interested in talking to the people who work at companies. So engineers, people on sales teams, anyone who can kind of give me an inside look at what's going on within an employer.
Now, wait a second. You don't hear that one too often. People at sales teams. So why is that? Because they're going to be able to tell you, hey, this is what's resonating or not. You rarely hear like, oh yeah, let me talk to a sales rep.
Yeah, maybe not like sales reps in particular, but just people internally, like anyone who's not an executive, just a normal employee, middle manager. I find that talking to those people have more interesting anecdotes and are more honest about what's going on at a company versus talking to an executive who is just, trying to make the company look good and saying the talking points.
You want to hear the scoop.
I do.
You want to hear the scoop. By the way, what's a scoop you're like, oh, dang, that's a good scoop? Not naming names, of course, but like recently that you were like, oh, yes.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I think the kind of conversations around like how like different tech leaders donating to political campaigns, I find that really fascinating. Like I'm trying to remember who's the last one. I'm sorry, but
that's okay. That's okay. But I do think you had some subject lines that you were going to share.
Yeah.
Did I make that up? Yes, tell us. Even though we already talked about how you're going to open all the emails, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think I sent it to you over Gmail.
You did. But I was hoping you could articulate it and read it to live.
Yeah, so subject lines, the AI revolution needs a green makeover. Unlocking the secrets of consumer psychology and tech innovation. Overcome imposter syndrome with these tips.
And for you, what stood out for those?
The first one, the AI revolution needs a green makeover. That was one that stuck out to me because I was doing a story on the carbon impact of AI data centers. And I was interested in the solutions to that. It just so happened that I got this pitch with a subject line and it immediately caught my attention. It was a source that was exactly what I was looking for. And it was both like timely and also relevant to my story.
Okay. Is there subject lines you see, Aaron, you go, no, please, no, please. Anything where you're like, no, this drives me crazy with pitches?
Yeah, I get a lot of pitches unrelated to what I write about. So one I'm thinking off the top of my head is, here are 5 tips to overcome imposter syndrome. I don't write about mental health, wellness, anything like that. I also get pitches for different products because maybe I should have mentioned this earlier, but on top of AI, I also write about climate change and sustainability. And it's usually more on the business and tech angle, but I tend to see pitches of sustainable swimwear or sustainable cups and lots of products that I frankly have no interest in. So yeah, please don't send those to me.
No, we don't want to see those. Okay.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to learn about the unique ways OnePitch helps brands engage with the right journalists? Head to onepitch.co and create your own custom media list in 5 minutes or less. Now back to today's episode.
For you, Aaron, is making relationships with publicists at all of interest? And if so, how do we go about that?
Yeah, I would say it was...
It's okay if you say no, but what was that?
I would say when I was on staff at Business Insider, it was very helpful to build relationships with PR at big companies like Meta, Google. But now I cover less of big tech and more startups in the space. And I find connecting with PR with who represent interesting AI startups is really helpful. It kind of helps me generate ideas, helps me know what companies are out there. Yeah, I find that it's when I have a relationship with a PR person, they tend to give me more exclusive information and think of me first when they have a story to pitch. So,
So you like that you were like staying top of mind.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Is there ever a desire of like, hey, let's meet up in person or anything like that?
I've done it a few times. I'm
And you're
basically
like, meh.
yeah, I mean, I do it if it's a company that I'm particularly interested in. And yeah, it's pretty easy for me to just hop on a train and get a coffee. But I tend to don't do it that often. Usually I'll hop on like a 5-10 minute phone call with a PR rep, or we'll just exchange info over email. And that's
Good. Yeah, that's good enough. You do slam to go and meet all the people. It's interesting how this has evolved, I will say, because obviously in the COVID time, no one was seeing anybody. But now, as we're away from that, there are some people on here who are like, yeah, get me a drink, get me a coffee, get me a thing. And some are still like, yeah, I'm good. Hit me up on email. I'll see you there.
Don't get me wrong. I love being wined and dined, but
Oh, okay.
time is a scarce resource.
Scarce resource. I mean, if I was in I would never be meeting with a gazillion of no, unless we've worked on 7 stories together. I'm the senior vice president of comms at Microsoft. Something I really, really want. Other than that, see you in the inbox. That's good. So, Aaron, what additionally would you like to get off your chest about Publicis?
Yeah, there are a few things that I don't want to see or don't love seeing.
Please tell us everything.
Yeah, so one thing that I've encountered is when PR professionals overpromise. And what I mean by that is there's been incidents where I've been offered an interview, I say yes, and I take it, and then it turns out they're not available by my deadline, or they can't do it anymore for whatever reason. And it's an issue because I tend to base my deadlines around getting access to sources. And so if I pitch an editor being like, I have this interview secured, my deadline is in 2 days, and I can't get it, then the story gets killed.
Then it's done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a pet peeve I've heard numerous times on the show. Is like, hey, you're like, oh my gosh, I have this person. Then you're like, no, you don't, because you can't get me that person until 3 weeks later.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. Okay. What else did you want to add?
Yeah. So I cover business and tech, and sometimes I get pitches that are too product focused. And I think the tricky thing about being a business journalist is that you have to balance the line between writing about the business, but also not doing marketing for them. And so when I do tech stories, I want to understand why it's important as opposed to why the product is great or what the product can solve, because it's not really my job to kind of do free marketing.
Deduce that? Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
Please don't pitch me through Signal or text.
Ooh, yeah, no. First of all, how are they finding your text? What? No.
I do have my number.
Oh no, Aaron, that's why then.
Yeah,
It's your own fault, sir.
Yeah, it was helpful when I was at Business Insider getting scoops and sources would reach out to me about like things happening within the company. I hear less from those people now, and it's more PR people just texting me saying, hey.
God, no. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. That was helpful to hear your pet peeves further. You know what, though, further, since we're on the topic, do you have the opposite where you're like, oh, I love when people do this?
Yeah, I love it when pitches are very clear about why the pitch matters and how it's related to the news. And so if they can put it into context for me, it speeds up the pitching process quite a bit. I guess an example is AI. like if I like the green data center story I was talking about, there's been lots of coverage around the carbon footprint of data centers. When I got the pitch, this how data centers could be decarbonized was perfect because it mentioned the news, it gave me research for its carbon footprint, and it also answered why it mattered, which is to help reduce emissions. So that was an immediate yes for me. And I hopped on a call with that source like the same day.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. Aaron, I have a quick rapid fire question set. Are you ready? Great. Video or phone interview?
Video.
Oh, okay. Can we talk about that for a second? So this is also like a controversial one. Video, why is that? You want to see people's faces, make sure they're not a bot?
I do want to see people's faces. I also find that interviews are better when I could see them. It feels more authentic and genuine. And I can kind of pick up on cues where if someone is not interested in or not knowledgeable about a certain topic, I'll change and ask a different question. Or if someone's really talking a lot about something, I'll ask them more about it. Helps me do the interview better.
Plus, I think you get, my take, more attention, as in my eyes are on the screen looking at you. Hopefully. That would be my thought. Okay. Bullet points or paragraphs in a pitch?
Bullet points.
Short or long pitches? Probably short.
Short.
Images attached or a Dropbox zip file?
Doesn't really matter to me, but I would say images attached.
Mm-hmm. Email or DM of any sort?
Please email me. Do not DM me.
No one wants a DM. Listen, one follow-up or multiple?
I would say follow-up 2 times tops. There's been situations where they follow up every single day for like a week.
Ooh, no.
I don't love that.
I feel you. Direct or creative subject lines?
Direct.
And press release or media kit?
Press release.
Time that you read pitches, or is it all the time?
I usually read it first thing in the morning, maybe around 9, but my inbox isn't that crazy right now, so I check it throughout the day.
By the way, can we talk about that? Because did you in the previous life, what's the comparison here? Were you like, oh my God, I was getting 400 emails a day and now you're down? What's the gap?
Yeah, when I was on staff, I was getting probably like 50, 60 emails a day.
Just pitches?
Just pitches from different PR. And now it's more like 10 to 15 a day.
Okay. Yeah, as you mentioned, or even 4 or 5. And let me ask you this further. Did you have a different strategy then when you were full-time there? Did you go through all the pitches like you do now?
I'm not really an inbox zero person. So if I saw a subject line that wasn't interesting, I would just ignore it and keep going. Don't even click them. But kind of similar to what I do now, if something really sticks out, like if it's counterintuitive or if there's an interesting data point or an interesting source relevant to a story I'm working on, I'll click that.
Those are all my rapid fire questions for you, Aaron. Is there anything we can do to promote, celebrate, highlight you? You tell me.
Yeah, I guess you can find me on Observer. I'm a regular contributor there, and I'll be publishing lots of interesting stories down the line. I have Twitter. You can follow me at Aaron Mok. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. Aaron, thank you for being here today. We are so excited and love that you're doing the deep, dark work, I would say, of AI work. We could have had a whole other podcast here about what your thoughts are on all that stuff, but that's not this podcast. So we're going to keep it moving. But Aaron, thank you so much. Aaron Mok, he's a freelance writer and AI contributor at Observer. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Beck.
Thanks for listening to this week's Coffee with a Journalist episode with Aaron Mok, freelance writer and AI contributor at Observer. For more exclusive insights about the journalists on this podcast, subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter at onepitch.co/podcast. We'll see you next week, but until then, start great stories.